there are so many people out there who continue to believe that Donald Trump is cruel and evil and racist.
The Trump Derangement Syndrome is real. People get this, they've been fed this so much that they start believing it. As you continue to say something over and over again, it sticks in the minds of people. That's why really media is really controlling a lot of this narrative. But I have personally sat down with President Trump. He said, Alice, there's more people like you. I'm sure you know more people. How many would you say that there are? And I made this sign of like this big sign that there's a lot of them. He told me to go and help him find those people.
Welcome to the Michele Tafoya podcast.
If the name Alice Marie Johnson sounds familiar, it's because she was made famous by someone she didn't even know at the time. Kim Kardashian. It's like, she didn't know who Kim Kardashian was? No, she did not. She was in prison after all, and probably didn't watch Catching Up with the Kardashians very much. But this woman, it's an amazing story. She had lost her husband. She had lost one of her children to an accident, and she found herself needing money. She had lost her job, and she became part of this drug ring. She wasn't distributing drugs, but she was integral to the operation. And when this drug ring got busted, she got put in prison on federal charges, which meant life without the possibility of parole, plus 25 years. I don't really know why you'd need 25 years if you've already got life without parole, but that was her sentence. And she spent 21 of those years in prison before Kim Kardashian came to the rescue. She'll tell the story here. You'll get to hear it. And then President Trump passed the First Step Act, and her life, Alice Marie Johnson, has been amazing and remarkable. And today you get to meet her and hear from this remarkable, exceptional human being. I can't wait for you to hear this conversation. It's coming up now. Alice, welcome. It's such a privilege and a pleasure to have you join the podcast. Your life, you've been through so much. As we sit here today, how are you? What's it like being Alice Marie Johnson today?
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show today, Michelle. I've been watching your episodes and they've been absolutely incredible. So thank you. I'm very honored
Thank you.
to be here. My life right now is a very busy life. I'm pulled in so many different directions, but it's hard to say no. When I hear of a case that so much injustice has taken place in it, I can't walk away from it. So I stay very, very busy. I've been traveling around the country. I'm very concerned about things that I'm seeing happening. Um, it's really been it's really been a roller coaster for me these last 6 years, but I'm living life and I'm changing the lives of others.
I don't know what could be a higher calling, honestly. I that you are able to go and help people and inspire people by what you've been through in your own life is a gift to so many people. Is there an example you can share with us right now of a case that you're particularly invested in?
Uh, yes, there is. I was incarcerated with a woman by the name of Michelle Lee, and she was so close to getting clemency. In fact, she was really, we were told that she was going to be on the list, and at the last minute, she was pulled because they saw something in her file that was really not hers. It was her husband's, but it was too late. I mean, we were right there at the finish line. And it's really been a very tragic situation. But Michelle, the thing that I've been doing a lot of lately is I've been highlighting the cases of people who made very good with their second chance. People who I helped gain clemency or who came out on the First Step Act. And I don't know if you know this, but almost 30,000 people have been released home early because of the First Step Act that President Trump signed into law. And we received a report on that. Their recidivism rate is so much lower, despite some of the naysayers who thought that this might not be a good thing. It was a great thing. It reunited families, and these individuals have proven to the nation, to the world, that they were deserving of their second chance in life. And the national recidivism rate is 43%. But for those people who President Trump helped gain their freedom, the recidivism rate is 9.7, and it's
Well,
not new. Many of those are technical.
why do you suppose there's such a big difference? What is it about the First Step Act that reduces that recidivism?
Well, most people are going to one day go home anyway. What the First Step Act does is there's a very strong rehabilitation program included with it. There's a very strong vetting process. These individuals are not just let out and say, go back into your communities early without a very careful vetting to make sure that they are not a safety risk. So that is what the big difference is. They're vetted. They're not just released out, they're prepared. They have a re-entry plan in place when they go home. And these are, I call them the cream of the crop. And it really gives more incentives for those who are incarcerated to really to do well and be prepared to go home.
It's your story is remarkable. It's well known, and I gave the overview of it in the introduction to having you on. When you learned that so many people were interested in your particular story, to the point that Kim Kardashian went to the White House to talk about you with then President Trump, you're learning all of this from, your position at that time being in prison. What was going through your mind?
It was unbelievable for me. Michelle, I didn't even know who Kim Kardashian was. I had been fighting for my case. I did. I had been fighting for my freedom for years. And when I spoken on different platforms, I spoke at Yale University, New York University, the University of Washington in Seattle, Google and YouTube platforms, and no one, I mean, people would see my case, but there was no one that came forward to say, I'm going to get behind you and get the attention that your case deserves. I did a video op-ed. That was the last thing that I did, and it went viral. And Kim Kardashian had not been on Twitter, she says, for 3 days. And she just happened to, as when she turned it on, my face popped up. And she tweeted out, "This is so unfair." And she contacted her lawyer, Sean Holly. And Sean Holly found me in prison. And she asked me, I received a call that I had a legal call. When I got back there, I didn't know who Sean Holly was. She had introduced herself, and she said, I have a very rich and famous client who would like to help you get out of prison, would like to hire me. Would you like that? And I remember saying, let me think about it. Yes.
Oh my
So
goodness. And yet
I
at
asked
that
my
time you still
daughter,
didn't know who Kim Kardashian was.
no, I asked my daughter to Google Sean Holly's clients. She Googled them and started reading the names off, and she said that one of her clients were the Jenners and the Kardashians. I said, I got it. I know who it is now. It's Kris Jenner. And my daughter said, Mama, what if it's Kim Kardashian? And I said, Kim, who? I'd never heard of Kim Kardashian. When I went to prison, she was a teenager. So there was no way. I knew of her father, Robert, and I knew he had
Right.
passed away, but I didn't know. And I'd seen Kris Jenner. I knew her name, but I didn't know Kim Kardashian. And it was Kim. And that began I'm going to say a forever friendship because we're still friends. People
Mm.
listen to me call Kim my war angel, but I call her that, Michelle, because you'll say an angel. This person was an angel for helping me. But it's a different thing when that person goes to war for you. And she told me, I will never stop fighting for you until you come home. No matter what happens, I'm going to keep fighting for you. So I call her my war angel. She contacted Ivanka Trump, who showed my case to Jared. They got new attorneys. Kim brought in brand new attorneys, and they called themselves Team Alice. So
I
that
mean, you
began
you had
a,
to be thinking to yourself, sometimes prayers do get answered.
they did, because I was a praying woman. But while there, I prayed for many others. I saw many of my friends go home, but I had a life without the possibility of parole, plus 25 years stacked on top of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I still had hope. My faith in God never wavered. But Michelle, I'm going to be honest with you. I had some really tough times in prison also. But I had to keep myself going because I had my family that was waiting on me. I had other people who were believing and still fighting for me. And that really gave me courage too to keep fighting.
If you are having trouble sleeping, you are not alone. This is a huge problem for people these days, given all the stuff that's keeping us awake at night, no pun intended. And with my current schedule, my responsibilities, and my recent shoulder surgery, I have trouble sleeping too. But let me tell you what I found to help me sleep better. Not a drug, not a prescription. It is a cream. It's a cream I put on at bedtime. Simple. I was a total skeptic, but I tried it one time and I realized that this stuff works. I sleep great. Now, the company is Sleep Cream, and they use all natural CBD combined with the finest essential oils. The lavender smells really good, and that helps you sleep too. I put it on the bottoms of my feet before turning in for the evening, inside of my forearms. That also helps. And I'm telling you, within minutes, it helps me relax and it allows my body to do what it's supposed to do, which is sleep. You can find them at sleepcream.com, sleep, CREME.com. Just try Sleep Cream for a couple nights. See if it works for you as well as it does for me. If you don't experience better sleep, Sleep Cream will refund your purchase guaranteed. You don't have to return anything. Go to sleepcream.com. That's sleepcream.com with cream spelled CREME.com. And for the next few weeks, use code Game Day at checkout to save $20 off your first order. That's Game Day at checkout, all one word for a $20 savings. Are you ready for your best sleep ever? Sleepcream.com. Sleep, CREME.com. It's anyone who's been through what you've been through, and if people just stop to think about all of that time spent in prison, uh, it's remarkable to me that you kept your hope up and then that this prayer eventually got answered. So you find out then that President Trump is going to give you clemency and ultimately pardon you. I'm
Uh-huh.
assuming you knew who Donald Trump was, even though you didn't know who Kim Kardashian
Oh,
was.
of course I knew who Donald Trump was. I mean, before I came home, he was legendary. He was all, everyone loved Donald Trump. He had The Apprentice, and I saw him on commercials. I saw different people who, I mean, it was, they loved him. So I knew Donald Trump, and I knew him as a very wealthy man. I knew about, I just seen him and had, I thought The Apprentice was so funny. I used to love when he say, "You're fired."
Yeah. Well, yes, he was very popular until he ran for office, but in fact, it was his being president that, you know, uh, finally allowed your case to land where it did and for you to walk out and this First Step Act to be enacted.
Well, I was
I wonder
actually
what you
granted
think.
clemency.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was actually granted clemency, but I mean, before we go on, I just want to say this, Michelle. God ordained that it would be President Trump. I know that in my heart he did it because it took someone like him to not be afraid to do something, not to wait till the end of his tenure as president. He had not even been in office a full 2 years when my clemency was granted. And historically, presidents usually start granting clemencies toward the end.
Right. It's amazing to me that you can make all of these statements, and yet there are so many people out there who continue to believe that Donald Trump is cruel and evil and racist. And I wonder what you would say to those people, like a Sonny Hostin on The View, who continues to call him this racist Hitler type.
Michelle, I will say to those individuals, have you ever even sat down and spoken to President Trump? Even people who don't even know why they don't like him, why they even hate him, the Trump derangement syndrome is real. People get this, they've been fed this so much that they start believing it. As you continue to say something over and over again, it sticks in the minds of people. That's why really media is really controlling a lot of this narrative that is taking place. But I have personally sat down with President Trump. This is not about that he granted me my freedom. I had this opportunity to go into the Oval Office after he met me, and he was so moved by my big family and them meeting me and going out to, when I was released, you saw how big my family. They would tell me in the White House over and over how that moment moved President Trump. He asked me personally, and this was at an event in Colombia, so it was televised. I was in the audience, and he brought me up, and I spoke, and then I went back. And he said, and it was breaking news too. He said, Alice, there's more people like you. I'm sure you know more people. How many would you say that there are? And I made this sign of like this big sign that there's a lot of them. He told me to go and help him find those people. And I went straight to work. I started assembling other advocates. We got together, but at the end, some of them dropped off as things started getting heated. But I had the opportunity to go into the Oval Office and present those cases personally to President Trump. And I can tell you, Michelle, there were no cameras rolling. There was nothing out of it for him to have me there, but he treated me with the ultimate respect. We laughed in the Oval Office. I would say that we became friends right there as I fought for the freedom of others. He was always interested in the background, the family. Do they have a family? Tell me about this person. And so I had this great opportunity to talk to him personally about these individuals, and many of them were Black, Hispanic, Native. It was all people from all walks of life. It was not just a particular group. And he never asked me, is this a Black person? We talked about human beings. We didn't talk about race. And if he was that much of a racist, I would not have been in the Oval Office. I would not have been on Air Force One with him. He's picked up the phone and personally called me since I've been home to check on me. There are no cameras rolling, no newspaper reporters. No one even knows about these things. And it's a shame. I know what it feels like Michelle, to have a label placed on you. I don't place labels on people. And those labels, they do no good. The only thing that they do is divide us, because then it becomes, if you're Black, he don't like you, he's a racist. If you're this nationality, he don't like you, he's a racist. When I can honestly say that he looked at me as a person, and I consider him as a friend. I'm not doing the things I'm doing because I'm trying to get points with anyone, or trying to, it's not, sometimes people will say, well, I understand why you would, because he set you free. You don't understand. You really don't understand. When I was in prison, I never asked a woman why you're here. And so I came home and I didn't care anything about what people were saying about President Trump. I met him just like I met the other people in prison who I met, and people I meet now as a free woman. When I meet you, Michelle, I meet you as another human being. You have no past as far as I'm concerned. It's in that moment that I get to know you, and I think I'm a pretty good judge of character. And your character comes through. And I've had this opportunity to honestly get a glimpse of the heart of a president. I say my story is like a Joseph story. I went literally from the prison house to the White House to flying on Air Force One with President Trump to being able to say, I need to speak with President Trump to his staff, and I get a call, and it's President Trump on the other line.
It's
So
a remarkable story. I can't let you go without asking you what you think are some of the biggest problems in the criminal justice system today. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the increasing cost of health insurance? Whew, it's up there. Have you had enough of not having control over your own healthcare dollars? Introducing Share Right, healthcare done the right way. At Share Right, you're not just a number, you're part of a caring community. And forget about paying excessive premiums. Nope, with Share Right, you stand to save 30 to 50% compared to health insurance. Think about what you could do with all of those savings. But it's more than just savings. Share Right ensures that you have access to the care you deserve precisely when you need it, from routine checkups to unexpected emergencies. With Share Right, your healthcare is their top priority. So empower yourself today by taking control of your healthcare costs. Visit shareright.org/Tafoya to learn more and see how much you could save. That's ShareRight, ShareRight.org/Tafoya. ShareRight.org/TAFOYA for healthcare done the right way. I can't let you go without asking you what you think are some of the biggest problems in the criminal justice system today, because certainly we can see that there are unfair things happening, whether it's a judge imparting a sentence that is just way too harsh. I want to hear it from you. What do you think are some of the biggest issues?
some of the biggest issues that we're experiencing right now is that they still have mandatory minimums in place. It's very difficult to assess a person when you don't even know what drove them to this. You don't know if they were sex trafficked. You don't know if they're drug users. You don't know if they've experienced trauma. You can't just put a rubber stamp on every case that you see. I think that there needs to be an opportunity too for people who have served long sentences to have an opportunity, because there's no parole in the federal system. So a person like myself, clemency from President Trump, I still be in prison. There needs to be something in place. Parole needs to come back to the federal system for sure, because it's in every state. And I don't know what makes a state prisoner different from a federal prisoner. But the awareness of how this breaks up families, the sentences are just way too long. It's something that was very disappointing to me. I'm trying to stay not so political with this, but it is. When I hear someone come into office and they say that I'm sorry for the 94 crime bill, and now you're in a position to do something about it. We had so people in the criminal justice field uh, when the new administration came in, because I know President Biden was instrumental in the 94 crime bill. He was a big supporter of it. And everyone thought that they would see some changes or some rollbacks because he said he was sorry for it. And now he's in a position to do something. And then we didn't see anything done in criminal justice really to help make really changes that would affect the lives of those who are incarcerated. And that has been a big disappointment, how criminal justice reform stalled after President Trump left office. I believe had he been in office, that we would have seen this continue to move forward, not only a first step, but a second step take place. And, I'm just hoping that people don't forget those that they can't see. That's one of the reasons, Michelle, that I'm out here so much, that really I'm on your podcast too, that I don't want people to forget those who have no voice. So every time I appear somewhere, it reminds them that there are those who are incarcerated who also deserve a second chance in life. But if I'm not out here continuing to talk about it, it's easy to forget, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. That's very true. Very well said. And I'm so grateful for what you're doing and that you have been given this second chance, because you are certainly making a lot of it, making the most of it, and making a real difference. And I can only imagine the people that are so grateful for your work and for keeping this front and center. I didn't want to get too political either, Alice Marie, but how confident are you that if Kamala Harris is elected, that there will be improvement, or are you just really hoping to see Trump get another opportunity? What's your feeling about that?
Well, I think I would have some confidence if I had seen some things take place, if I'd already seen um, some inroads in criminal justice reform, but I have not. And I am very confident that if President Trump is elected, reelected, we've spoken about this, that we will see movement again on criminal justice reform. There's a lot of things that he would like to do, and I pray that I will be a part of some of the things that he will be doing, because honestly, I have not stopped. I've made myself available, but no one has reached out to me. I've worked with the pardon attorney, the director of the BOP, but I have not worked with anyone from the Biden administration, from the Biden Harris administration. I have not been included in the groups that they brought together with the formerly incarcerated to hear my voice. But I've been available. So it's pretty hard for me to have confidence of something when I have seen nothing. I've seen nothing of substance over these last almost 4 years that they've been in office. So for me to say I have confidence, that would be an untrue statement.
Well, I have great confidence in you. You have been an incredible example of courage and hope and doing good, which is what I love to promote. And we need more courage in this country in the biggest way, and we need more people doing good at every turn. And you are doing both. Um, it's been a pleasure. Love to stay in touch with you, Alice Marie Johnson, because I'd like to know what you're up to and see where this goes from here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you very much, Michelle. And thank you, too, for the work that you continue to do to get all of our voices out that need to be heard.
We're going to keep doing it. She is Alice Marie Johnson. She is exemplary of what I always ask you to do, which is to be brave and do good. So we will see you next time.